All right, episode 4. Here we go. In the back of a truck, in the back of my truck at a soccer practice here. Um, so this is where I wrote most of the book and do most of my journaling. The back's very spacious. I might sit like this to give you the couch feel. But so episode 4, the topic's going to be about language and words. So I have lots of questions about this. I just did episode 3. I understand. I feel like that one was more preachy, but being a coach is what I know, right? There's only 2 things that I think I'm in the top 1% of the world at, and one of them would be probably coaching specifically girls because I've done it more, and we know it's more relationship based, and we lose a lot of girls after in middle school and early in high school from sports because they don't feel included, right? It's important for them to feel included. And I think I'm really good at that. I think I understand soccer. I think I can explain it to a way. And I think I really always value all my players that I'm coaching. So I'm going to say that. So that's important to me. So I apologize if that last one got a little preachy, but there are things that happen every day on our sports sidelines that are just inexcusable. They can't happen. They're bad for our kids. And so we got to work on that, which is, I have to work on it. We all have to work on it. But so I apologize if that one got a little preachy. But that's just, that's my whole heart is so coaching soccer, right? If I could coach soccer from 7:30 to 2:30, I'd probably do that instead of teaching math. And as an FYI, the only other thing I think I'm in the top 1% in is playing low stakes poker. When I took a sabbatical a couple of years ago, I played a lot of low stakes poker. I'd go down to Twin River and just try and beat up on the same little old guys every day. But I have the data on that, right? And it's not poker is you need such a huge sample size, but I've played a lot. And I think I was at $27 or $28 an hour in the 1-2 game, which puts me in the top 1% of poker players. When I play poker, I take notes, I study the players at the game. I love to do it, kind of like coaching soccer. But so anyway, sorry if that got a little preachy. I'm gonna do my best. And this one's all questions, right? So this one's about words and what words are we canceling and what words aren't we canceling. I was talking to a friend and he was trying to say it's not even about that, right? It's about where is different language appropriate, right? I use different language in my house. I use different language in front of my kids. I use different language. I definitely use much different language if I'm at a 3-day golf tournament. But so I just have questions about words, right? And this is where we need kids involved. So before I get all the way into this, if anyone wants to come on this, hopefully I'm going to try to start posting them in the next couple days. And if anyone wants to come in from Medfield to talk about, I don't know, small town politics, to talk about our sports, anything you want, I'm down for it. If any friends, from anywhere in my life want to come on and talk about this, share their feelings on anything we've already talked about. So pressure on kids and them just being numbers, social media, sideline behavior. If you got stories there, I'm sure we got plenty of stories there. And then today I'm going to talk about language. And again, my intention was to come on and just ask adults, kids, everybody, what words we're okay saying and what's not. But again, had a good conversation with a buddy about this idea of different languages okay in different places. And I think I agree with that. And I think that's something I'm working on for sure, because I think a lot of my life, and my mom would definitely tell you, I was way too much black and white when I was a kid. And kid being, probably for too long, I thought things had to be one way or the other. Now I'm a lot different, right? I don't know. I'm 41 and everything's gray. There are things I know. There's a lot more things that I don't know about. But today I'm going to talk about language. So the new word, I have no idea what to say, how to police it when my kids use it, if I'm allowed to use it, where I'm allowed to use it, is the Z word, right? So the Z word is a new one that I've heard on soccer fields. I've heard in my house. I've heard it at the high school. And I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it's at on the spectrum. If you don't know the Z word, it's somewhere between the G word, the H word, and the F word. And I think that's me putting those words in degree of hurtfulness. But I don't even know if that's true. But so it's just a new word that's popped up in my world the last like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what to do. When kids say it, I'm like, wait, are we allowed to do that? Like, what's going on? But so the Z word is the new one. I still, none of these words, I don't know where, I think I try not to use any of these words. I think I don't use any of them. If I'm at a 3-day, if I'm on a golf course and someone leaves a putt shorter than it should be, I definitely hear those words and I'm not jumping to correct them. If I hear these words in school, it's a much different conversation. And like, if there is, I try to, if I'm around, the F word, the H word, the G word, the Z word, it's a lot about intention, right? Like, I'm definitely not going to let anyone say that around me with like the F word in front of it, right? Like, that's no good. But like, if we're teasing, I'm not sure which words are acceptable. And it might just be different places, right? Like, I'm so glad I talked to that buddy, because like, maybe like in certain contexts, I can use the same word as long as it has love behind it and not hate, right? So that's where a lot of that comes out. Other words we have. So why this came up as a topic for me is the R word. I've heard the R word like 4 times now in my last week. Soccer fields, classrooms, and the black woman on the Kevin Hart roast said that Shane Gillis has like brought the R word back, and like comedians say it, and I laugh when they say it, frankly, right? Like, if I got to be honest when I'm here, I'm going to be 41-year-old, like, honest me. But I know the R word is hurtful, right? I know it's not good all the time. I know, I give comedians a pass, right? They, I think, are you, like, if you're on stage doing that, I think it's just different for me. I'm not sure, obviously everyone feels different. People get canceled. We have woke culture, we have conservative culture, and whatever that spectrum is. But I definitely give comedians a pass with that. Especially Shane Gillis, right? Because obviously, like, he's R word passing, right? Probably he mentions that in his special. He talks about that as one of his shticks. The other 2 words are the B word and the C word, right? Are 2 words that come up that I think my line is like, you can't say them to women, right? But like, the B word I can probably say to my buddy if I'm trying to get him to stay for like one more drink at the Marriott in Melville, New York. The C word's a tough one, right? That one generally has a lot of hate in it, so that's not one that I think we can ever use. That we can never ever use the B word or C word at a woman. I was on a patio after playing golf, and I did hear the C word a lot. A gentleman talking about his ex-wife, and it was intense, right? But I think he knows what he's saying with that word, and he means every bit of it. So not my thing. Don't know what's going on there. But so never with women. We can't use the B word and C word is where I'm at. I imagine, hopefully that's where you're all at, but let me know. The C word in London is awesome, right? Like at a soccer game. So we went to London this winter. My kids heard the C word. They might have thrown it a little bit once in a while to be funny. So what questions, right? I just don't know. But again, it might just be about the place. So the R word, one time one time it was said in my classroom, right? And I kind of froze because I was like, God, what do we, like, Shane Gillis and them are saying it. Do the kids watch them? Is this acceptable? It's a school, so like probably not a great thing to use that word. And so I just froze. Again, trying to learn how to be better for our kids here. I just froze. It was probably a beat or 2, and I was like, probably just gonna hit them with, you can't say that word. And a student helped me out. They just gave the quick, like, you can't use that word in school. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, we can have these conversations, right? And talk about the different places we're allowed to say different things. I guess, I don't know, right? These are my questions. I don't know. But like, that was so funny in the moment, because she goes, you can't use that word in school, right? So obviously, like, she's thinking like my buddy's thinking and how I live my life, right? We can have different vocabulary in different places. So we'll see that one. We'll see what happens there. Other words I want to talk about is words around like ethnicities, right? Like I think if we could replace the word Chinese with Asian when we're not sure about that, I think that would go a long way in terms of like bringing us all together and building relationships. With people who look black, I say black, light skin, dark skin. Emmanuel Acho in his book said to ask for the preference, right? If it's African American or black. I think black is my comfort zone because if I'm describing someone, I probably do not know what their preference is. And I think if we do that, it would be better. I think, we definitely can't call anyone that looks a certain way Chinese. And I think we definitely can't call everyone that looks a certain way African American. I was in a meeting once with a woman who's Haitian Dominican. She's dark skinned, and I had to like kick her under the table because in the meeting there was also other people, and one of them was referring to her and said African American, and she's not identified like that. Again, she is Haitian Dominican. So I just kicked her under the table. Like the reason I was able to take, like my only role in this meeting was to help her not become the angry black woman. And so I, feels funny saying I'm sitting here kicking a woman of color. But my job in there, so we marked the moment, and then afterwards in the car, we had a laugh about it. Maybe, I'm not going to get too deep here. I was going to, well, whatever, let's do it, right? I was going to say like maybe a little sad, but like this is what we're working on, right? I'm not going to say sad. We just have to do better, right? And where we can make improvements, we have to try to do that. But so anyway, we got in the car afterwards, had a big laugh. I was like, I got you. I heard it. I'm sorry you heard it. And what it's 20, this is what it is, right? Unfortunately, right? But maybe we can start a podcast. We can talk to kids. I can talk to my friends from, wherever you're living now. And we can talk about like how to handle that better, right? Like make sure we don't put people in a box based on something we see, right? And we can ask, like we should ask. Like again, Acho in his book said like just ask, because I think it came out where it's like kind of 50-50 if people want to be called African American or black. But this is gonna be crazy for me to speak for him, but like I just stick with black, right? Because that makes sense to me. I don't know where people are from. But you can be white or you can be black, you can be dark skinned and light skinned, and I think we're just naming a trait. I think that's okay. But again, if it's not, let me know. So obviously the N-word's a no-fly zone, and you can't say it at all ever. Can't say it with hate, can't say it if you're a white person ever. The last run-in I had with the N-word from a white person saying it in an angry way was in July. It was July 15th of last year. So like whatever, under 12 months ago. I was playing golf. Dude hit a shot he didn't like and yelled the N-word. I was, not in his cart. I was across. I was like, holy crap. Like I could not believe that just happened. Like I don't know if I've ever heard someone say it like after a bad golf shot. Like I've heard every other word. But anyway, so what I do, right? So I think I was trying to talk myself out of the fact that like, maybe he didn't say it. Did I mishear him? Is that crazy? That like, how's that happen? Right? Like, but like now it happened, right? Like I know it happened. So what am I going to do? So I didn't, full disclosure, like I blew it, right? I didn't do as good as I should have for all the young black kids I teach, for the black people on earth, my friends. Again, right now I currently probably have like one black friend. I have a couple from back in the day. I just haven't talked to them in a long time, but I think that's also an important thing to name, like whatever. But so he said it. I couldn't believe it. I froze. Again, I freeze in these tough spots, right? And this is why I want help. This is why I want to start this conversation. Because, and maybe there's not perfect answers all the time, but the more information, the more friends I have, the more points of view I have, I think the better I can be in hard situations for our kids. This guy, I play golf with often enough, or, see around the club often enough. I guess I should say I don't play with him that much. So I'm like, go home. I'm trying to figure out, like, do I talk to this guy again? Do I ever play golf with him again? And then I'm like, well, it's not black and white anymore, right? As a 41-year-old man, it's all gray for me. He made a mistake. I make mistakes all the time, and make mistakes in like high stakes things with young people and young people of color. Like I screw it up all the time. Well, I've screwed it up. Hopefully not all the time, but I know my students could tell me 2 times for real I screwed it up, and we can throw 2 more on because I've been teaching for 15 years, and I make lots of mistakes. But there are 2 times that stand out in my head where I screwed up bad, not understanding the perspective of someone of color. But anyway, so this guy, go home, sleep on it. I'm like, I have to say something, right? Who I am, who I need to be as a leader in this space, as a white dude who has tried to get better to understand the experience of a black person in this country. So the next day, or whatever, the next time I saw him, which I think was the next day, this was, last year in the summer, so I was playing a lot of golf. He was sitting at the bar, and I went up to him and I just said, hey, just so you know, that is over my line. Like that's a non-starter for me. If you're going to use that word, like we just can't be friends, right? Like, or I might've said we can't golf together, whatever. But what happened is he just looked at me and he said respect and just gave me knuckles. And that was the end. I don't know. It feels fine to me. I see him now. He understands my line. I think that's how it should go, right? Like, I think the goal of this podcast would be that's the conversations we can have, right? When we disagree or when we make a mistake, like, it's not forgotten, right? But he deserves, I don't know. I can't say that out loud. I can't, like, that word is inexcusable, right? It's not something we can say ever. But at least he knows he can't say in front of me, right? Like, I think we can control our environment. I've learned a lot in school about how I can control my environment, right? I can't change the world, but I can change my environment, and maybe those ripple effects will help. Maybe that word is totally gone from his vocabulary. Do I think that's true? Probably not, but it's not going to happen around me. And if it happens again, it's fine. It's just a walk off, see you later, talk to you never thing, right? So that's what happened with that. So that's the worst word in our culture, I'll say. Last time I heard it, I kind of fell on my face, right? In the moment I didn't do it, I thought about it, and then I went to talk to him. And, that's kind of tough to put out there, right? I don't have a lot of friends, adults that I know, people of color, but I have a lot of kids, and I think I let them down in that moment. And that sucks. And as I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't know, like, this is it, right? This is what I'm doing. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put it out there. I screwed up. I didn't do it in the moment. The next day I did, or 2 days later, I'm not even sure. I think, and the interaction was okay. I thought we just, again, knuckles, respect. He respected that I said something to him about one of my lines. I wish I did it earlier. I wish I did in the moment, but I didn't. So that's one word. I know where my line is. Next time I will be able to, in the moment, say, no way, not having it, not around me. But all these other words, I'm not sure, right? And maybe the answer is just in different contexts, we can have different vocabulary. If it's teasing with love, maybe that's okay. If it's hate, maybe it's not okay for a lot of these words. For the Z word, the H word, the F word, there's so many of these words, right? That just have so much hate behind them all the time, and then they get taken back by the group, and it's confusing. And I'm trying to figure out what tone to set for our kids, for Rory and Dylan, for the kids of Medfield on the soccer field when they're saying the Z word. Is that okay? And in the high school, I think the school is kind of the easy one, right? Because that's like at work, right? So we have to have like strong lines there, but it's still going to come up, right? And do we kill the kid? And for which word's the worst? Like, this is what I want to have a conversation about. I'm just not sure about so much of it. Like, I could say, like, it's not appropriate, kill the kid, but like, if they're using them in their vocabulary, like, where's the middle ground here? And maybe there's not one. Like, maybe there's not. Maybe all these words should just be dead, and that's better for everybody. But let's figure it out. I was caught off guard hearing the R word 3 times, 4 times in the last like week or 2 weeks. It's not a word I thought I'd ever hear in school, and it's up again. Maybe we blame Shane Gillis. I don't know. The last one I have here is kind of a unique one that I think. So what if we just change the word weird with different? Like, if we never ever called people weird again, because I couldn't imagine what it's like being a kid and people calling you weird, right? I was having a conversation with a high school kid, and he was talking to me about some stuff he likes doing, and he was like, well, a lot of them are like nerdy things. And I was like, all right, go on, player, tell me the nerdy things. Like, we're good, we're in this space. I am trying to get to know you and what you like to build this relationship. And he was kind of hesitant because, there was stuff he classified as nerdy, right? Nerd, how about that word? Is that okay? Is it not okay? Like, that's a word we definitely use in my house. There's too many words to talk about, but any of them that we want to talk about, again, the idea is hopefully this starts a conversation, because I'm lost, right? I don't know what words are good. Well, that's not true. Sorry, now I'm getting a little too loose with that. But I don't know where our lines are in different places, right? In school, I think it can be a hard line like work. But then, like, what do I do on the soccer field, right? When it's a little looser, we're a little more free. What do I do in my house when there's kids in my house around my pool and kids are saying these words? What do I do with Roy and Dylan? Like, what words do I use? What do I do? And so I'm just asking for help in this space. But the different and weird one, I think, is a neat one. We can't call people weird. We can call things weird, but we can't call people weird. We can just say different. And that's a word that I think it would be good to take away. Like, imagine being in like first grade, second grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, fourth grade. Then the first time someone's like, God, what's up with that weirdo? Like, that stinks. That's isolating. That hurts. I think that's a bad one. So let's replace weird with different. If we're not sure, let's replace Chinese with Asian. If we're not sure, let's replace African American with black. And all the other ones, maybe it's just different places we use different vocabulary. And like, it's okay to admit that as a society. I think that was why I was so stoked to talk to my friend, because like I was trying to figure out like yes or no, good or bad. And I think so much of it is if it's said with love, if it's said in teasing to someone you love, and we know we're all okay, I think that's good. Anytime it's said with hate, obviously it's no good, but it's like the middle. It's the middle I'm trying to figure out, and maybe life's just gray. Thank God it's not me when I'm like 16. I was like, Mom, it's this or that. And I used to be so like that. And maybe I was going to do this podcast, before I talked to my buddy and do it that way, like yes or no. But like everything's gray, right? We use different, we change who we are in different situations, right? When we talk about race and stuff, it's called like code switching, right? We have to change who we are, but we all do that, right? We have different conversations at the 3-day, at the golf course, in our house, on the soccer field, at the high school. But a lot of those for me have kids around me, right? So I'm just asking for help on what we think the best way to is explain those words, talk about the history of those words, the hate, is it okay? But so that's it. So words. So all the bad words, what do we do? And what other like little words that do a lot of damage can we take out of our vocabulary? For me, my challenge for everybody watching this, take weird as a defining characteristic as a person out of your young kids' vocabulary. Just say different. People can be different to us, and that's cool. You can be different, but calling someone weird is putting them in a box alone. I feel like it's very isolating. So let me know what other words you have questions about, or what other words you think we can change. But I think that's it for this one. Thank you, and I love you.